Welcome to this last video on the element of water in astrology and the water triplicity, which includes the signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, and our primary water planet, which is the moon, which is an incredibly important planet because it's a personal core planet. So we've already discussed what water represents and how it functions in nature and all of that, and we've discussed the positive keywords for water. And so now we're going to look at the negative expressions of the water energy in a chart. If it's out of control, or there's too much water, or it's functioning in an unhealthy way, what could possibly, how would it express in someone's natal chart? So some of the negative expressions of water, remember that water is all about emotions, love, and our need for stability and security. So keeping that in mind, it would be, in a negative expression, it would be over emotional, where the emotions are possibly over the top, or the person is not in control of the emotions are driving them totally. They can be overly fearful, especially of rejection. They can be unstable or insecure, have insecurities and a lot of fears and worries. They can be very clingy or even possessive or jealous, okay, and sometimes mistake that in themselves or in others for love. They can sometimes look for love too hard or too much, and have a lot of problems in the love area and the stability, security area, especially on an emotional level. If they are not stimulated or challenged or reassured enough on an emotional level, they could become stagnant, inactive, or even lazy, or an underachiever, or give up easily on relationships if they are not encouraged, or if there is any problem in the relationship, they may not handle it as well as somebody else. An inability to move forward and to dissolve boundaries between the past and the present, leaving the past behind, especially emotional grudges. That's at its worst. You know, it's quite common for people to struggle with leaving the past behind, but the really negative expression of the water element would be an inability to forgive and to move forward from a grudge, an emotional grudge. The wonderful flexibility and adaptability in that of water in its positive expression can express in a negative way if it's in that the person needs too much change, or doesn't need it but is doing that. They're changing way too fast, they're inconsistent, they can come across as unreliable or fickle. They can have no boundaries or filters. In other words, all the boundaries have dissolved. I have no idea what's right, what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's not. And even inappropriate public displays of affection or over gushing on an emotional level can also fall under the water energy. The water energy can rebel or even suffer greatly if they feel misunderstood, or if they feel too restricted, or they feel criticized. So that oversensitivity can come in again. There can be this restlessness, this changing of places or scenery too much, or partners too much. Okay, that's not a good thing. They can also tend to coast or roll or flow through life without direction. Okay, and sort of trying to find their way through the fogs and mists of Pisces. Over idealistic or over romantic, too impressionable, too impressed by friends, family, peer group, partners, past experiences, way too over impressionable or too easily led up a path by others, or too easily swayed from their own beliefs and, who they are. They can lose their sense of self or become over-dependent or codependent. They can feel easily put upon by others, and feel stressed out by that. And they can even lay guilt trips on others. Exaggerated feelings, or a drama artist would definitely, you would have to look at, why is their water behaving that way? At worst, manipulative. Okay. So fearful or insecure, but manipulative is a very negative expression of the water energy. They can come across as wishy-washy or not assertive enough, depending on the chart, or lacking energy or vitality, just generally lacking that feeling of alive, being alive. Very dampened down, what they call a damp rag. Okay. Emotional issues and insecurities, and emotions can cloud judgment or focus. So at worst, total zealot. Okay, about overly emotionally invested and not prepared to even look at anything else, especially on a religious level. That you would definitely be looking at the moon, and you would be looking at what's happening in Pisces there. Over religious to a dangerous point. Or if someone's joined a cult, have a look at their moon, or what's in Pisces, or what's in their water signs. So religion to a dangerous point, or prepared to delve into negative, dark spiritual practices. Okay, which there are some that are grey or heading towards the black side. Hedonistic or overly self-indulgent, or even promiscuous on a sexual level. Emotionally unstable, moodiness, depression, highly insecure, too clingy, jealous, or possessive. Out of touch with reality, living in a fantasy world. Hallucinations, hysteria, and paranoia are all covered by the water element. Any addictions, or being prone to addictions, and escaping reality, or trying to soothe emotional wounds with addictions and self-medicating, would definitely fall under the water energy. Loss of identity, they feel hurt way too easily, or they over exaggerate how that they are hurt by something, or that they're way too overly sensitive. As I said, manipulative at worst, or can lay guilt trips on others at worst. They can become very toxic and undermine others, or be too controlling, especially on an emotional level. By the way, certain eating disorders and that can also fall under the water energy, because it's emotional. A lot of it's emotional, and it's controlling. And yeah, emotions can just cloud their judgment and cloud their focus, and just too intense. If a person is incredibly intense emotionally, you'd be looking at what would be going on with their moon or their water signs. So problem areas in a person's life, especially on an emotional and relationships level, problems with them and their parents, etc., you would be looking at their moon, and you would be looking at what's in their water signs and what's happening there. Okay.